As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place I come from. To live another way I cannot foresee as an American.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing tonight? Hi, Richard. Hi, Linda. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Barry. Hi, Mark. Hi, Nana. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Susan. Hi, Jane. Hi, Rodney. Hi, Wanda. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Richard. Hi, Hank. Hi, Linda. Hi, Pam. Hi, Sabrina. Hi, Rodney. A lot of people in here. That's good. Make sure you share it out if you're in here. We've got a lot going on tonight. Of course, Biden pushing and poking the bear and pushing for a nuclear war, and it's looking like he's going to get his way one way or another. Biden, of course, keeps invoking possibilities of Armageddon, even today at his Democratic fundraiser speech. So this is not good. Not good at all. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Corinne. And Putin, President Putin has indicated Russia's using nuclear weapons in Ukraine is a possibility. And that's scary enough. But the president, of course, keep pushing this, along with Zelensky, that this is worse than the Cuban Missile Crisis, which it is, but saying it doesn't help. I don't know why the audio drags sometimes. But Biden, of course, pushing a speech in a fundraiser in New York, addressing Vladimir Putin, threatened to use nuclear weapons. And Putin's allies recommend Russia uses low-yield nuclear weapons in Ukraine. We've seen massive strikes, of course, just within the last couple hours here. And Kharkiv, not nuclear, but massive missile strikes. Oh, your husband went out to sea. I'm sorry about that. This is not funny, though. I mean, we have not faced the prospect of Armageddon since Kennedy. And this is it would be a true catastrophe if anything were to happen. I mean, of course, Zelensky calls for NATO to launch preemptive strike in Russia. This is just ridiculous, because a preemptive strike in Russia would, no matter what, end up in nuclear war. It's not just preventative sanctions or anything else. They're calling for a preemptive strike. Ukrainian officials are trying to walk back the comments from Zelensky, but it appears to call upon NATO to launch a strike directly into Russia to stop Vladimir Putin's nuclear threats. I think this is ridiculous. So we're going to threaten, or Zelensky's going to threaten him with NATO's nuclear weapons, and we're not going to stand up and say that's not happening? I mean, instead of trying to prevent a potential nuclear war between Russia and Ukraine, I mean, we should just start backing down what we're talking about. Stop heating the conversation up at this point. And we already see that these people are capable of such atrocities. I mean, look at Ukraine attacking its own citizens. It's ridiculous. And I think what we're going to look at is actually a nuclear weapon in Ukraine that is not even Russian going off, and then, of course, blaming it on Russia. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Zelensky keeps pushing this agenda. Meanwhile, Russia and Putin, of course, he's turning 70, has his finger on the nuclear button, and he's preparing his country. Only a handful of people know exactly where Putin is celebrating his 70th birthday in St. Petersburg today. But critics say he's spending more and more time in deep, isolated inside nuclear bunkers. This is crazy. This is a self-made disaster. The U.S., of course, is being pushing this disaster further and further. They want to raise more worries and more questions about what's happening and making it look like he's attacking pipelines and everything else. Well, we know he's not, of course, attacking his own pipeline when he went to go get it fixed as soon as possible. But I think he would use nuclear weapons if he was pushed to it. I don't think it would be a bluff, and I don't think he would even use it as a gesture anymore. I mean, Ukraine is calling for nuclear weapons to be used on him in a first strike event or preemptive strike. They're looking, the U.S., of course, is saying Armageddon and everything else preemptively before a strike happened. It's ridiculous. Biden's probably already in a basement. They just don't want to tell us that. Well, the Kremlin, of course, and the Gazprom and Kremlin employees and families are already going underground in bunkers and radiation in case of nuclear weapons. The U.S., I don't know if you guys know this, today the U.S. bought $232 million worth of a nuclear or a radiation sickness treatment drug. $232 million we spent. Obviously, there's a lot more going on than what we see on the surface. This is very, very scary situation. Unlike situations that happened back in Germany, we know that nuclear weapons didn't exist to, of course, go back. Bombing of Kharkiv, of course, started again today. Putin exactly said, our generals are capable of bombing Kiev and Washington with nuclear torpedoes and bombs. He said, I said that because I know Russian military well. They will obey any of my orders. There are hardly anything that anybody could do to stop at this point. And yes, Joe is pushing for this. This is a scary situation. Zelensky just keeps adding to the fire, and so does Biden by these glamorous remarks against Russia every chance they get, saying Russia's falling apart, Russia's this, Russia's that. That 150 million dead then, at least. $232 million the U.S. spent on anti-radiation drug today. Do you guys realize the significance of that? This drug's only good for 5 years. So that means it's going into mass production right now, and it's only good for 5 years. Why would we spend that much money on a whim? Yeah, the U.S. has bought those drugs to use in the U.S. And then we got cities like New York City, New York. Let's talk about New York and what's happening there for a minute. Yeah, they could shoot multiple torpedoes, And they not only that, their torpedoes are nuclear torpedoes that send a wave 1,600 feet high. A tsunami 1,600 feet high. Covered in radiation. So a nuclear tsunami. This is not a good point. The Feds aren't going to do anything against Hunter Biden, of course. They're playing that up knowing that we're about to enter a war. But New York City mayor declared a state of emergency amidst the migrants being bused to the city, saying it's a crisis. That the city has spent roughly $1 billion to manage the influx of migrants. How? That's what I want to know. What's going on? New York City, of course, can't handle migrants. They're saying they got over 1,700 migrants. But yet Texas has received over 1 million this year. Florida's well over that number as well. 1,700 migrants supposedly got bused to New York. Now, how many buses would that take a day? Their average of 100 people for 2 buses, so this is ridiculous. That'd be 17 days straight, or 17 days straight of 2 buses arriving. There hasn't been that many buses there. 9 buses, of course, have moved. It's ridiculous. No, we haven't found the Russian sub that was carrying these weapons. But of course, declaring a state of emergency because of migrants being bused to their city, when they want to be a sanctuary city in the first place, is one thing after another is ridiculousness. Yeah, mainstream media won't talk about the flights. Not even that. The flights. What about the flights the government, Biden, issued all around the country to disperse migrants? Biden authorized. Nobody's going to talk about that. Only the Republican governors that are sending them to sanctuary cities, where people, of course, supposedly want the migrants. They want to save them. It's straining the entire system, though. It's straining the homeless shelter system for American citizens at this point. They don't even have a point. We don't have aircraft that could locate that submarine, even if we tried, Linda. It is a very, very stealth submarine. Their stealth capability under the water is well beyond ours. We went for air, and Russia, of course, went for water after Germany. So, of course, a lot of the Democratic mayors and governors are saying this is a manufactured crisis caused by Governor Greg Abbott. That, of course, is trying to get migrants out. And Greg Abbott had only bused around 3,000 migrants to New York. So I don't know how they can claim that this is the big problem, these supposedly 17,000 migrants. Watching what's happening, it's sad. I mean, it's just like Ron DeSantis sent 50 migrants to Martha's Vineyard, but they couldn't do anything. If we get into a major war, it could stop midterm elections. It could stop everything, depending on how bad it gets. It's just sad. America's falling apart. Today, this week, whistleblowers, of course, came forward this week, and over 665 FBI employees left after sexual misconduct probes are supposed to start now. 665. That's not a small number. That's almost 700 FBI employees that just left. 45 of them were senior executive service level employees. Resigning from the FBI and the Justice Department's Office of Inspector General after the investigation alleges misconduct about sexual misconduct. This is ridiculous. This is our government, the people that are supposed to be providing justice. And they all run away? I mean, this is non-consensual sexual misconduct is what we're going after. Zero tolerance policy, of course, brought to light and pushing forward, and people are afraid. They're running. Hi, Billy. How you doing tonight?
Chris, what's going on, buddy?
Not much.
Hey, I wanted
Anxiety's
to
high.
ask you. I sent you those things today on Messenger, those stories. Can you confirm that? I was watching this one
I
YouTube
can't
video
confirm what
last night.
happened over Canada. I cannot. If that's what you're asking.
That you can't say is true, or that you can't comment?
I can't confirm nor deny
Oh, okay.
question.
All right. Now, also,
but I'll
the
tell you
second
this:
thing
it was not a foreign strike. That's all I'm going to say. It was not a foreign
What's
strike.
it? I can't say it again.
It was not a foreign strike. That's all I'm going to say.
It wasn't a foreign strike.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're trying to prepare something. So
now the second thing, another guy was doing the plane tracker app, and he was shown that there was like 20 or 22 C-135s. I guess those are the aerial refueler planes, the tankers. He said there was like over 20 of them. He was showing them on the map, flying all over America at the same time, and that's very unusual.
It's because the president's about to go into the hardened Air Force One plane, and once he does, he will be in the air continuously if nuclear war does break out.
But would you say that's pretty unusual to have like over 20 of those planes flying at the same time in America?
Not when they're prepping for the president to have to take off. Those planes will be circulating, touching down, filling up, and going right back in the air constantly. So the presidential plane could be refueled at any of those locations.
So let me ask you one more question. The news broke today that the government put in that order of like $290 million for those radiation pills or whatever it was.
The drug,
So, Chris, what's going on? Chris, I mean, is it imminent?
T-plate, I'm going to tell you what T-plate is, first of all, so you guys understand what kind of drug this is. This is for extreme radiation contact. This is not like iodine where you have exposure to radiation from just walking around, after something's been irradiated. This is drugs for people with direct exposure to radiation that you would give soldiers to go in and fight in these areas. This is a serious situation. To spend $232 million is not a joke. I mean, this is a serious situation to even start talking about.
So, is it safe to say, it looks like this is pretty imminent that, we all going to go to war with them?
Well, what I think is actually going to happen is I think we're going to see a false flag in Ukraine. I don't think it's going to be Russia attacking Ukraine. I'm going to say it's going to be somebody's going to explode a nuclear weapon in Ukraine, and we're going to blame it on Russia.
Yeah, just like to blame the Nord Stream pipeline on them.
Yeah. And we're going to retaliate it directly against Russia, and Russia is going to, of course, has dead man switches, and they're going to retaliate very drastically. It's going to be.
I saw also tonight that somebody said that Jack Keane, the guy who's on Fox all the time, he's like their military analyst, that he admitted tonight, I don't know if you saw it, but he admitted that Ukraine was just an excuse for the United States and NATO to go to war with Russia. There was like no moral ground to really help defend Ukraine. Ukraine was just there.
Well, in fact, we should have went into Ukraine back in 2016, 2 years after Russia was annexed Crimea, when Russia reported the atrocities that were happening there to NATO and to the UN, and nobody wanted to go in.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to go in as UN peacekeepers to keep people safe. You know how many citizens got killed by the freaking Azov group?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Thousands. So
and that's what we're saying.
My last question is going to be this. I mean, if the shit starts flying, the main targets will be military bases and installations, right? Correct? I mean, the civilian cities would be what, the second phase?
Not necessarily. I think they would go after some major military bases. I think Air Force bases would be the main thing to take out. But I think they would go after control. Major population centers, power, water. If you take out power and water, you take out a country. I mean, we'll fall.
Yeah.
If we have no power and no water for even a week, the country's devastated.
Just perfect example, Chris. Look what a hurricane does to such a small area of our country, right? Florida. And it wasn't the whole entire state. It was just certain parts.
And look how,
look how those people in those certain parts are, devastated. So imagine those areas, Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel Island, imagine that nationwide.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
It's only going to be worse than that.
Forget about it. I mean, wow, scary shit going on, Chris.
That's a minimal issue compared to what we're
People got to start waking up, man. People have to start waking up. You know, my brother yells at me. I talk to my brother. He calls me a conspiracy theorist. I wear a tinfoil hat. I'm like, all right, whatever, man.
But here's the thing. I don't argue with people. I'm going to tell you this. I deal with extreme Democrats all the time. And instead of arguing with them, what I do is I just talk to them. And then, of course, they argue back. And I say, well, okay, well, that's your belief. But, hey, while you're at it, just Google this statement. Just find the single statements that Google does not filter out. And then when they start going down the rabbit hole, next thing you know, they're coming to you asking more questions. Well, why is this? Why is that? I mean, there's no point of arguing with somebody because it's not going to get your point across, especially with family.
All right. Hey, Chris, you don't, when you go on live, Facebook Live, you also go on YouTube or no?
Yeah, I'm live on YouTube. I'm actually live on 2 channels on Facebook. We're live, and
that way I could actually watch you on my TV instead on the phone.
Yeah. I don't know what our YouTube channel is now, but I know it's Real News Live still, but I don't. It's a number and ID.
All right, buddy. Listen, take care and have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. God bless. Stay safe.
Bye-bye. You too. You too, man.
Yeah. Coastal cities, especially on the East Coast, are places to worry about. I mean, especially when Putin said New York and D.C. are places he could easily take out with a nuclear torpedo. And plate's not a joke. Biden has pushed us to a point where, of course, we're facing this as American citizens, as citizens of the world. We have to face a true nuclear threat. And then we got OPEC, of course, cutting capacity. Of course, now the U.S. wants to throw the book at OPEC. So what are we going to sanction OPEC's oil? This is a joke. I'm sorry. Literally today there was talk about what they're going to do to OPEC as a penalty for cutting production. There is no penalty. They're the ones producing the oil. We're not producing it anymore. Trump had us producing plenty of oil. We actually filled a strategic reserve with American oil when he was president. Filled it completely. Now we're draining it like it's water that's endless. and looking forward to war. This could be very, very dangerous. It's just sad watching what's happening. America should be prepared for anything that could happen. Yeah, draining it well at the wrong time. The U.S. and NATO will battle Russia on Ukraine. So I don't think so. I think Russia has already made direct injections that they said if NATO or the U.S. directly gets involved in Ukraine beyond their shipping weapons in right now, it'll be trouble. Yeah, human waste and garbage is disastrous. Grandpa's doing good. My anxiety is at an all-time high tonight. Just not feeling well. Hopefully you're out somewhere in the country where you can burn waste, including your other waste. God bless you all. I'm going to get off for tonight. I will be back tomorrow night. Hopefully I'm feeling better. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. I'm just out of it. But God bless you guys. God bless America. And changing this is not something we can do at this point. We have to make sure we vote, get these idiots out of everything, and hope for the best. Literally hope for the best at this point. But God bless you guys. God bless America. And hopefully we can become the nation we once were. Good night.
As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place